Welcome to episode 436 of the Steel Cage Podcast. My name is Derek Montilla, occasionally known as the mayor of Jacksonville. We got ourselves a four-man crew tonight to discuss AEW Revolution and the fallout from the lack of fallout. Joining me first, he has a doctor's note that says that Rebel cannot participate in any matches with him going forward, but he'll call in whoever he can, Nyla Rose or Maki Itoh, to flip everybody off. It's the NeoEcks.
I have a doctor's note.
You have a doctor's note. You wrote a doctor's note. Is this convoluted storytelling already? Yeah, we'll get into that. Also coming in hot into the Casino Tag Team Royal, all by himself. It's the Uncle Beek.
Hey everybody. These introductions are ridiculous. I can't wait to hear what you have for Josh.
Oh, Josh is well, you just ruined it. But
I'm gonna ruin it. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be the best introduction ever, Derek. No hyperbole. Give it to him.
It's the founder and proprietor of the Steel Cage, Mr. Joshua Schlag.
Hyperbole.
Don't you fucking sound so happy about it. Jeez, Derek.
I mean, sorry, you're not like Christian Cage signing with this show or anything. You come back often.
Outwork everyone.
That's right.
Josh, do we have any emails?
No.
Oh, god damn it. I figured with how long we've been off, we would at least have some emails. Well, like I said, we're primarily talking about AE Revolution this podcast, but first I wanted to touch on what WWE has been doing, mostly with the WWE Championship. We had Elimination Chamber that has come and gone. After the match, Drew McIntyre did defend successfully his championship, but had his ass kicked by Bobby Lashley, and The Miz cashed in his grand scheme and his Money in the Bank briefcase to become the WWE champion. Since then, we had a fun little story. So what have you guys thought about how this has gone and the new WWE champion, almighty Bobby Lashley? Beek, I'll start with you.
Well, I think it was a nice way to get there. It's a lot of fun wrestling stuff. I think putting Miz through all the rigmarole and him trying to get out all different matches on Raw was a lot of fun and irritating for a wrestling fan who just wanted to see him get his ass kicked. So congratulations, Bobby Lashley. It's really rad. I think it's cool.
It was great to see him use every heel trope to try to get out of defending the championship fairly.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
It was that run away, live to fight another day. But unfortunately, he had to do that repeatedly. Same day.
Took the swing at Bobby Lashley with the belt. He tried everything. Everything. Is it kind of a pathetic run, Josh? Would you say that? I mean, is it indicative of Miz as a character, or is it like some people are acting, which is that it was truly disrespectful to him to have his championship run be that short?
I don't think it's disrespectful. I mean, the Miz is the Miz. Like, he knows his role in the company. He does it very well. And if his role is to, be a literal transitional champion at this point, whatever. I mean, like, he's main event of WrestleMania already. Like, that's already in his belt. What more does he have to prove?
Very true. Very true. He has the top-rated show of any WWE superstar also, besides maybe Stone Cold Steve Austin. But I do believe Miz and Mrs. is even more popular than straight up with old Stone Cold. Neo, Bobby Lashley, is this really like WWE giving something that worked? It's due the way that the Hurt Business now has all the gold, and the way that they have been kind of, the best thing on Raw over the last year.
Well, it definitely proves that WWE is pushing the Hurt Business to the moon. I think my only gripe was just how it was done. I really would have liked to see um, Bobby Lashley take it at least that fast lane. That was just kind of my booking it. I didn't like the fact that Shane McMahon had to get involved, right? Because
Mhm.
to your point, he was using the heel tropes, and on one hand, you could have thought he's doing what he can to retain said title. But then you had Shane McMahon needing to get involved. And again, so the WWE has this rule that if the champion gets DQ'd via countout, he retains. It's a rule. So then Shane McMahon has to come in and then tear up the rule book. There could have been more elaboration, but then again, that's just me, booking it after I watched the show.
No, you're absolutely right.
What can
You're
you do?
absolutely right.
I would have rather
It's-
had the Hurt Business like bribe Shane McMahon or just keep beating the shit out of the Miz. I like the fact that it was a lumberjack match. Maybe they should have done the lumberjack match the next night or the next Monday instead of doing it the same day. I'm like,
Well,
It's-
Shane is still
it's-
getting back at Miz for shit that went down on SmackDown like years back. That's what it seemed like. He's like, I'm just gonna keep busting this guy's balls for shit that went down that probably nobody remembers except for Jeremy on the podcast right now.
Shane is absolutely getting all of his vendettas out. That's what we saw also with Braun, right? So I mean, Shane's just in vengeance mode for some reason.
Well, people saying
I
that Miz
just-
getting disrespected is also ridiculous. Imagine being disrespected by being in the title picture and having the title for a while. Ooh, disrespect. What a rude
but it's
thing
just
to do with
it's
that.
just typical. Like this is just Shane on his schedule every year around this time. He has to show up on Raw and assert himself into some sort of segment angle. Like, get fucked, dude. You're not a wrestler.
It was
Like, get the fuck out of
especially
here.
awful on Raw this week.
It's like no one needs you, Shane. Like, you don't drive ratings. I'm sorry,
I
you just don't.
I think what you said earlier too is the best point, and I was kind of getting to that with my first question, which was just like this whole thing seemed like it was rushed. It seemed like WWE doesn't usually have a really good story that they've planned out, at least from beginning to end. This one seemed like it did, right? I mean, we were gonna get this inevitability. It was gonna be only a matter of time until Bobby Lashley beat Miz. Miz running from Bobby Lashley and figuring out ways for a couple of weeks to not defend his title against Lashley. Maybe it would have grown stale, but I just feel like that it had more legs to it than this. I liked when Miz was trying to appeal to Bobby Lashley's, ego and say this should happen on a bigger stage. You've been after this for 16 years. I mean, the WrestleMania thing was great, but it could have been nice for him to, be like, all right, Fastlane. And then maybe Fastlane is when they set it up for. It feels at times like WWE doesn't really want to promote things properly, and honestly, that could span across all of wrestling. At times it feels like nobody wants to promote things properly, but especially something like this, I feel like they should have had Miz come up with a couple of more, schemes to get out of defending the championship. I agree with Neo 100% that
sure.
Shane getting involved after he already technically defended the championship and making him defend it, again and again, and just whatever it took to get him eventually to lose it, seemed kind of ridiculous considering, the established rules that WWE has put out there for this kind of situation, right?
Maybe they're just trying to roll Bobby quickly into his whatever program they're going to have him for WrestleMania. Maybe
Right.
they're like, we got to just get into it.
Oh, and that's the bigger problem, is that they they seem to always be making their decisions on the fly. It always seems like it's something that they are, that they need to do something quickly because they didn't have it in their plans. This wasn't a situation where someone got injured and they had to take him out of the picture. They had plenty of time to set up a proper plan and give everything that they were doing some time to do it. The Elimination Chamber, yeah, that was a perfect scenario to show that Drew had fought off 5 former champions, and that he was basically, you know, it was the most vulnerable that he would ever be. And then on top of that, you have the fact that Lashley comes out and attacks him. I get it. They set it up great. But going forward, the rest of the game plan kind of just fizzled out really fast. I am glad to see Bobby Lashley champion, though. I do think that the Hurt Business has earned this. I think that they have been just, again, a definite, you know, standout on Raw when it didn't even feel like they were giving a push at times. I know that they had the championships, but you know what they did on Raw Underground, just thinking about a lot of moments that they had over the last year, they have been one of the things on Raw that has been consistently good throughout a year that you can't say Raw had very much of that.
Yeah, when there was no crowds, they actually were the only thing worth watching on the show. Like, you kind of watch the rest of the show is kind of like Angel Garza and
Retribution.
Almost no, this was even before then, but like way back
yeah.
at the beginning. Yeah, it was just
Yeah.
It was just their faction with Zelina Vega and then the Hurt Business, and the Hurt Business just stood out and then ran with it in the entire year.
Well, you bring up another really interesting story that has come out, which essentially is Dave Meltzer stating that it sounds like because of what happened with Zelina Vega, that Aleister Black is essentially being put into catering until the end of his contract. I don't think necessarily Meltzer made the connection with Zelina Vega, but I think if you're looking at the situation, I haven't heard about anything that Aleister Black particularly did himself to be in the doghouse. So you're kind of connecting dots there.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. The guy's really, really great.
Right. It's incredible, right? Like it's such an incredible like thought that that's what they're going to do with him. He is definitely the type of guy that I imagine they don't want going elsewhere because he is going to be a massive star wherever he goes.
Totally. Like not just great from the sense of, hey, we saw him come up through the indies, but like we saw what he did in NXT. Like he's very capable of doing awesome stuff, being on TV, all that stuff. Like I don't get it. I you know, we talk about like connecting the dots. Like to me, it feels like there's a dot here and a dot here, and it doesn't take a lot of work to connect them at this point. Like, just the whole situation with the Zelina Vega just ticks me off to no end. And yeah, this just seems like a continuation of that real life storyline. Like,
you're absolutely right. It's just all of that with these guys doing the streaming and sharing themselves, and WWE cutting in on that and ending them doing that. It makes sense, but
it's pocket change to them, really.
It's
so
pocket change. It's so petty, right? Yeah. Like it's literally them not wanting to
give anything.
Let them create like their own brand outside of WWE,
which is absurd. They don't even understand how better. If somebody stumbles upon this really entertaining Twitch stream, they go, "This person's a WWE wrestler. I need to check that out." That's money for them. It's
not only that, but then they didn't capitalize on it by having them stream under a WWE stream. Yeah. Like if they want to stream, let them, but let them do it for you and then share the profit with them that you're getting from their Twitch stream. It doesn't seem that hard.
They used to put everybody's Twitter fucking handle. They could put people's Twitch URL up there. Like, they were all about Twitter, and I don't think they had any stake in Twitter at all. It's ridiculous.
I feel like it's them falling behind the times. I feel like once again, we know that Vince is out of touch, but you know, this Twitch, this Discord
sounds like drugs. Twitch, yeah, what are they doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like this podcast.
I don't like those kind of accusations, and we're just going to be moving on, sir. That's slander and
clean
libel.
Living.
Yeah. So the big thing we're going to talk about tonight is AEW Revolution. I had the chance to be in attendance, and it was a pretty incredible show that was marred by an unbelievably horrendous ending. So I want to talk about it. What do you guys think? I very, very much enjoyed the show from the get-go, and I think that this really is one of those shitty situations where a show was really stacked and good from top to bottom, and a dumb thing happened that was a very major dumb thing, but a dumb thing nonetheless, that completely ruined the reputation of the show. Would you guys all agree, having watched the show yourselves?
No,
No. Okay.
because I guess we'll just get to it. Everyone who's watched the show saw the ending of this amazing death match. It was
Even if you didn't see anything else, you probably saw the very ending of this.
But the match itself was great. It had excellent pacing. They were only working with 30 minutes, so it was a high level match, and they didn't stop. Both these guys are tremendous. But then, yes, at the very end, when the 30-minute timer went off, there was sparklers and little poofs of smoke that went up. But the reason it went up like that is because
sparklers.
Snakes and sparklers. They're my favorite kind. The reason it happened that way is because we've heard Kenny Omega is really bad at making exploding rings.
Correct.
So there you go. That's why it happened. No big deal.
There's your answer. Yeah, it is no
Card
big deal.
subject to change.
Including the exploding ring. The exploding ring may not show up. Now, I will say this from being there, that the explosions were very effective and very terrifying. I have no idea how they came off on TV, but it got to the point where I didn't want the explosions to go off anymore after the first two, because my nerves really couldn't take it. But then I found the explosives guy, and I could watch him and see when he was going to do it. So that made it much easier on me and my nerves.
So from my perspective, like, you know, watching this match, it's goofy. Like, you gotta admit, it's a goofy ass match, an exploding barbed wire death match. Okay,
I'm sorry.
Sounds crazy, but when
get him, Neo. Fucking get him, Neo.
So I mean, you're watching it and you're like, okay, yeah, barbed wire, that's legit. Explosions, yeah, it's things are exploding near them. They're kind of like little things going off. But you know what? Like, when it comes down to it, like in the essence of pro wrestling, especially with the match they had before that, the cinematic match, which we'll talk about later, I'm sure. Like, it just felt like, you know what, this is fun. Like, let's all kind of just get in the mindset that these explosions somehow do something to them physically. And you know what? The loudness and you know, these things going off in their face, at the very least, there's that effect. And so, yeah, as a fan, like, it was really fun to watch. And that's why I got involved in it. And I guess, like, from my perspective, yeah, it all came down to that finish. And for me, like, the show, you know, I don't say the whole show is garbage as a result. But if I look back on this show, that honestly, me as somebody who doesn't watch the product on a week-to-week basis, like, that's gonna stick with me. And
yeah,
you know, I feel bad about it. I know it's not the sort of thing, I mean, they sure as hell wouldn't allow something like that to happen again. Lessons learned. I don't know, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't think it's the end of the world. And
yeah,
I don't know what the full explanation was tonight, but whatever.
The ending is what everybody's hanging up on. But let's not forget, this is probably the first barbed wire death match that anybody in the States has probably seen, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Like, it's got quite a legacy in Japan, as a lot of us saw in the Twitter follow-up, with people posting, this is how it could have been, should have been, obviously showing a lot of things that there's no way they even had the possibility to do, you know, in that particular venue. So, like,
right,
like how close Derek was sitting. If they had those kinds of explosions, we would have lost Derek.
Yeah, I would be dead, which would please so many of you, I'm sure. They also didn't really do a great job of moving the talent that sits on the floor right there back too far. Like, they did push them back a little bit, but then they just got up and walked closer anyway, so it didn't seem super safe.
So and we're not marks, we'll get right next to that shit.
I think that might have played into the disaster that happened a little bit, right? So I was sitting basically kind of close to the left side of the ring, and after one of the explosions on that side of the ring, the explosions wire was just like, it was one single wire that went across the bottom, underneath the bottom rope, and it was kind of like hidden in by the barbed wire and stuff, but it was in the same position on each side of the ring, on the 3 sides of the ring. And when that particular one went off after, I think Omega, one of them, got thrown into it, it looked like it burned hot. Now, I don't know, because I didn't get a chance to see what exactly happened. I don't know if it caught fire or what, but there were like safety guys positioned, outside of the view of the camera that had like clippers, like wire cutters. And for some reason, after that one went off, they jumped over the railing and cut it and pulled it away and went away with it. But it looked like, due to safety, there was something with some of those talent right there that I don't know if they were like overreacting or what, kayfabing it up or what, but it looked like a couple of them, like the explosion got too close to them. And now that wasn't the one on the floor when Moxley dropped Omega, like doing the side slam onto the floor. That one was actually even closer to the talent, but it seemed to go off, safely. The other one that they cut and moved, I think that's what happened. When you look at the video, there is no explosion from any of the explosives that are still left on the ring, which are underneath the bottom rope. None of those go off. Only thing that goes off, like you said, is the sparklers and the floor explosions that were, down lower. I think the plan was to have it just fill up with so much smoke, not exactly get that big explosion, Josh, like they were showing in those videos. The one where the crowd is like obviously 20-30 yards back away from the ring, right? But I think their intention was just to have that small space fill up with so much smoke from like the simultaneous explosion that it filled up the camera and filled up the view, and you don't see Moxley and you don't see Eddie Kingston laying on top.
And one of those nice big concussive booms too at the same time, probably.
Right. Now, I don't know how much stock you can put in this, but the previous night I was hanging out with Lindsay Snow, the American Kaiju, by the way. We're brokering a deal. I'm trying to keep. I got some American Kaiju shirts I still need to sell. So if I'm not going to work with Devin, why not? Anyway, she was doing a tattoo for a friend of ours, and she actually said that there was a test run that she saw, and the explosion was really impressive. So I don't know when the test run was, and I don't know what she saw, but I mean, I think based on what we were seeing during the match, it seemed like it was going to be cool when it went off. I was also very confused by the rules without commentary, because we just got shown like the rules on screen written, and it wasn't up for very long, but I thought I remember it saying that the ring was only going to explode if they surpassed the 30-minute time limit. But then that didn't surpass the 30-minute time limit. Like, the match was over. There's no ring. The reason the ring should have exploded anyway.
There were definitely some other like production issues with like the ominous sound with the countdown or something.
It was
going
so cool sounding. Like, it was so cool, and then they just stopped it.
But it just started happening, and the announcers like didn't really have any indication as to what exactly it meant. They're like, we think that's about 10 minutes left.
To me, whenever the sound cues came on, it was so ominous that when I heard them, I was thinking automatically in my mind, okay, something's going to go down, or the time limit is lessening. It's not like New Japan where the announcer automatically, shouts out the
time left.
They said it was some kind of warning,
but it was a warning.
Yeah.
But it sounded like a nuclear warning of some sort.
But it was awesome. That's the problem. And then they went to a normal like beep when it came down to it. Like, they didn't use the same sound for it. Like, I wanted that sound to get louder and just keep kind of beeping and just being there the whole time. Midway through it happening, it just stopped and then didn't come back. And then we got the end clock that came up. I will say that of all the explosions that made me fucking jump out of my seat, the Anderson and Gallows bat was easily the one I was not ready for the most. That one shocked the shit out of me and looked like it legit. Like, a couple of them legitimately look like they could have been dangerous, but again, in person, right? Like, you're seeing shit blow up fucking 40 feet from you. And
dude, the one Kenny took to the face when he was selling it, it looked to me like, oh, he might have got fucked up.
Okay, that's the one they cut. That's not that you bring that up. I remember because some guy next to us yelled out, "Give the Academy Award to Kenny Omega." It was pretty funny in the moment.
He
But
sold it like a motherfucker.
And so I didn't know if they just cut that wire just for kayfabe, like to sell that Kenny got flashed in the face and they need to get this stuff out of here. I don't know, but in the moment it didn't really seem as off. But that's why afterwards, when I was thinking about it, I kind of did what Jared would do, and I put on my engineer hat a little bit, my little tiny engineer hat, and I thought, like,
it's like a fez. It's like an engineer fez.
It's an engineer fez, correct. And I thought, obviously explosives, from what I've always seen, are a circuit, and if you break the circuit, explosives don't work anymore. I think that's what ended up happening. What was really weird was, as I was saying, I was watching the explosives guy. He had like a little orange box, and he had it open. He was basically like turning on a safety, pressing a button every time that they were going. He had on a headset, was told when they were doing, a spot. And he, after the entire debacle at the end and the sparklers, and people are just sitting around forever staring at Eddie Kingston laying on top of John Moxley, and you could hear a pin drop in the arena. Like, we were just all like, what the fuck? There's got to be something else, right? Like, everybody's gonna die right now, right? What's gonna happen? And that was it. And so I looked over at the explosives guy to see how he was reacting, and he just very quietly just closed his box and just like unplugged his headset. And eventually, like, after the murmurs started to like die down, he just got up and walked away. I was like, yeah, that does not look like a guy that was surprised at all about what happened, right? Like, so one of two things came into my mind. Either, like, in the moment I was like, either that's how it was supposed to go off, which obviously can't be that, or that dude knew something was wrong before they even got to that spot, and when the explosives didn't go off, he was like, well, fuck it, I knew that wasn't gonna happen.
That's what it sounds like to me. And there was
peeling
just
the curtain back.
There was just a lack of communication between all parties involved as far as what they probably should have done instead. Maybe have a plan B. I don't know. That's unfortunate.
Okay. You're absolutely right, because that was my biggest question. Is explosives are like trying to fucking have a dog in a movie. You can't plan on that shit, so like there's always something that could go wrong. And I'm just amazed that they didn't have any kind of contingency plan to back up, the explosives going shitty. Like, at very least, I think Mega Ran said it. I've heard a couple of people said it. Turn the fucking lights out in the arena or something. Do some jittery board shit and just make the whole thing go away. I don't know, but letting Eddie Kingston just lay on top of John Moxley and dry hump him, as Kenny Omega said tonight, for like 5 whole minutes really wasn't the answer.
Eddie Kingston apparently had a panic attack, dude. He couldn't deal with it. He passed out.
It was PTSD.
Yeah.
See, I think it sucks for them, because I don't think they had any idea how big or shitty the explosion was. I think that they probably got told when the refs and the health staff came out, but those dudes weren't looking. They were both had their like eyes.
You guys
closed.
look like dickheads.
Yeah, right. Hey, we shit the bed with the fireworks. What do you mean we shit the bed? No, we shit the bed with the fireworks. It's just one of those things. I can only imagine what those little quiet conversations
I
were
just
like.
imagine the trainer takes out his cell phone. He's like, look what happened.
You've already been memed.
Oh my God, this Instagram video already has 50,000 views, and it just happened 2 minutes ago. I got to give all the credit in the world to John Moxley, though. He made that situation so, just like we were all in on it together as the audience. Like we, and like he laughed about it in a way I've never seen John Moxley / Dean Ambrose laugh in the entire time he's been a television star. It was just a legitimate belly laugh at the situation. And I mean, that's all you can do in this moment. It was so silly and ridiculous that sometimes you just got to laugh at it. And when he just said Kenny Omega's a tough son of a bitch, but he can't build a goddamn ring worth of damn, like that shit was hilarious. Like he dropped an F-bomb like every other word after one point. It was exactly what needed to happen. The thing I appreciated the most, though, was that he kept selling the match while he was giving this speech. He kept like wiping his face and like almost falling down, or at one point he just like rolled over on top of the bat and was like, ow. And then he got up and kept talking. Like, just everything about it just really impressed me, because Jon Moxley has always given the impression that he doesn't give a shit about anything, right?
The impression that you get.
That's the impression that you get. Don't I will sing that entire song.
Well, dancing along to it right now.
Yeah, I know. It's on my playlist. I listen to it almost every day when I run. I can't. No, it's fine. It's fine. Anyway,
The impression
John,
that I get.
it's the impression he gives, I think. Is what I said. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about how shitty AEW's merch situation is really fast.
What?
I got there when the show started, and they have
in-person merch.
In-person merch. They have a very good process, which I like, and that is as many people have seen, they have the ordering from your phone and picking up at a pickup area, so you don't have to go stand in line and miss a considerable portion of the show waiting in line to buy merch.
Sure.
The problem I have is that when I got there, the first thing I did was log on to the merch website, and they were already sold out of almost everything. I think my problem with that is that I get that they have 1 hour tees / pro wrestling tees do their merch, but this is in their home base. This is in Jacksonville, where this company is based out of. It seemed just like it seemed like they're turning down money by not having enough merch for this crowd that's very small. It's a very small venue already compared to a lot of venues that they perform in, and it's only at 25% capacity. I wanted the Jon Moxley Kenny Omega deathmatch shirt, but that one was sold out already. So then I was just kind of looking at other stuff, not stuff I was necessarily going to buy, but like a hoodie. It was pretty cold out, and I was thinking maybe I could double up on hoodies. The only hoodie they had was the AEW branded hoodie, and they were sold out of that. And I eventually bought myself a scarf that was a lifesaver, because Florida was very cold this weekend, and I needed the scarf for my fragile skin. So I love this scarf very much. It was very warm, and I was very glad I bought it, but it was overpriced and one of the only things that they had in stock. It was more of a kind of a forced situation rather than what I wanted to buy from the merch stand, but again, I just think I think it's weird, because again, you had this ability to, I know you can't account for everybody in the arena buying the shirt and bringing enough for everybody, but selling out before the show even started seems a little crazy and a little short-sighted. But again, maybe it's pocket change. Apparently Tony Khan spends millions of dollars per month, according to his tweets, on the production of this television show.
That tweet was hilarious. Oh my goodness.
Hilarious and unnecessary. I don't understand why Tony Khan is fighting with
That's
YouTubers.
One of the reasons I thought it was funny.
On Twitter.
Why did this billionaire do that to this girl?
Because he fucking had time today. He fucking had time. He's angry is what he is. I mean,
that's the PC description. He's just passionate about his business.
Yeah, no, he's fucking pissed off about the way the show went the other night and not in the mood for anybody's shit. That's what's going on. Keep giving him hell, Tony Khan. That's what I say. Or TK. That's what I call him, TK. I don't know. Did I tell you guys he follows me on Twitter? I think I brought that up before.
We heard about that, D.
Yeah, okay. Anyway.
DMs.
Yeah, all the time. All the time.
I get that sentiment, but you got to reel that in a little bit when you're a public figure like that. I feel like
shit, man. You and I have had conversations with each other about reeling it in on the Steel Cage account at times, and that's definitely not a televised wrestling show on TNT. So
yeah,
I want to talk about Maki Itoh because she's the greatest thing that I've ever seen in my whole entire life.
Dude, I'm jealous that you got to see her live. My exposure to her was like seeing, her tweets, like her original AEW tweet was like, "Hello, motherfuckers," or something like that. And I didn't understand it until seeing her come out at Revolution and doing her thing. And I'm like, shit, okay. Like she's so damn unique. I absolutely love it.
It's fucking incredible. Like she's absolutely incredible, from singing her theme song on the way down to the ring to just the way she wrestles. I can't even sit here and say she did any cool moves, because a lot of the shit she did was just kind of like throwing her body around and doing some dumb shit. Like, but it went with everything that she seems to be as this like reckless spirit of a character. She was just some shit straight out of like Street Fighter, man. She was awesome. She was a refreshing addition to the women's, division. And I know Neo loves her.
He
Neo?
doesn't agree.
No,
Yeah,
never mind. No,
Devastating.
shut up. Jeremy, go ahead. What are your thoughts on Maki Itoh? He loses his floor time.
I think anything really ridiculous in wrestling is a lot of fun, and she's hilarious, over the top and extreme. And her reaction to Jim Cornette talking shit about her, when she said she was like the deity of shit and like covered herself in chocolate, was amazing. So her Twitter game, her social media game is on point. Very entertaining. I look forward to see what they have in store for her.
She also had an incredible clip on Being the Elite, where she the Dark Order were talking about how they lost Anna Jay due to injury and that they could never replace her. And Maki Itoh walks into the room and flips everybody off and says, "Surprise, motherfuckers!" And then they all erupted to cheers, like, "Yay, we found our replacement!" It's the best shit. I continue to enjoy being the Elite very much. But yeah, I don't know, man. I thought Thunder Rosa was very much needed for this women's division. I think that they're continuing to build and add really unique, women to this division. I think that's what they need. At times, I feel like they might have gone, too much in the direction of trying to bring in, like really good performers, really good wrestlers, people that have a great reputation of being a technical wrestler or whatever. But I need characters, I need people like this that are more than just their wrestling ability.
Or Ryu.
All right.
Mizunami.
Yeah.
I was saying like her. She's a big elaborate character. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah, right. No, absolutely. It's just more of that. I don't know. I think it's just a television thing. I mean, like, you can have all the competitors you want, but they need to strike that right balance between, people that, like, Britt Baker has become an amazing character on television. Like she has continued to evolve as this heel and has just gotten better with time, and that's something that's really cool to see. She has definitely grown on me from when I first saw her on AEW television.
Agreed.
Also had the tag team championship match. I was really hyped about this, even with how much I hate Chris Jericho. I got to sing his theme song live, and I've never gotten to do that because I didn't know the words the first time. And I don't care if I'm supporting him or not. It's just a banger. It's a bop, and I enjoyed singing it. The Young Bucks defended their tag team championships against Jericho and MJF. There's a lot of like son father combinations, Jericho and MJF and Sting and Darby. There's a lot of dads with their kids out there fighting other people, and I really like that. This match was like they're fighting the kids, the rowdy kids that live on the house next door.
Those young bucks down the road.
Yeah, those young bucks next door.
From Cucamonga.
Rancho Cucamonga.
I love this match. I thought this match was great. At times, I got a little exhausted by the false finishes and the kickouts, but
falsies.
It was really good.
Yes, it was 100% the best match on the show, in my personal opinion. Yes. And you can't not expect the Young Bucks to deliver. And I'm so glad these belts are finally on these guys, because It's what we wanted the entire year when the show or the damn company started. Like, get the belts on the Bucks. No, we don't want to put ourselves over and everyone get mad. Who cares? We need to see it. So I'm glad it's finally happening.
We knew it was coming.
Yeah,
You know.
eventually.
So we were just titillated.
Clamoring, just we're waiting with bated breath.
I think they wanted to build up the tag team and make the other teams look equally important, but I think what you said is
I get you.
no, it's not though. Really, it's the first thing you said. I felt like that with everybody in the elite. Like they didn't want to put Kenny over as the first champion, and they didn't want to put, the Young Bucks over as tag champions too early. They had to wait, let it simmer, and let everybody kind of forget how involved they were.
It's totally the right move. I'm just being selfish and an idiot. So, but yeah, it totally worked out.
It is, but then Cody also had no problem not waiting very long to.
He's the son of the dream, baby. He's following his daddy's footsteps.
Check out the Go Big show on whatever channel it's on, TBS. He's incorporated that into his Titantron, and I think
TNT,
that was the most agreed. No, I'm pretty sure it's on TBS. But it's the most
station.
It's the most egregious thing ever is that he incorporated that in there. You did say that was the best match of the night, and I will agree with you, but I would say that the other best match of the night was the Casino Tag Team Royal. I thought that was really, really fun. I thought that they had a lot of fun spots in there. There was a lot of different stories being told. For me personally, it was kind of hard to keep track of what the hell was going on all the time, but the end result of Death Triangle coming out on top as the number one contenders for the tag team belts is awesome. And it was fucking rad. It was rad. I love those guys. I love to see those guys succeed. I think Rey Fenix is the most talented wrestler in the company. That guy just does shit that other people can't do, and I've never seen other people do.
I say strong contender for the best wrestler in the country right now.
Yeah. Like that, I think that's what made him and Pentagon such a good
best wrestler in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah,
there you go.
Above the equator, we're talking, but
a lot of qualifiers.
So Rey Fenix versus Okada, dream match.
West of Brooklyn. Yeah,
I'd even take Rey Fenix versus Ospreay. Like, give me that.
Yeah,
be dope.
Ospreay.
I do have a question for you, Derek.
Yes.
AEW has some bangers of entrance music. How are those in person? Because they seriously have some great tunes. The Sammy Guevara tune, I don't think he was on the show, but that's a banger of a song. How was the actual presentation audio wise and visually there?
It was all really cool, man. I really enjoyed it. The songs, like I said, one of the very first thing I was greeted with was Maki Itoh coming out to the ring and singing, her theme song herself. That part was incredible. I will say in some of the best songs were the guys in the Casino Battle Royal. So then their theme songs were like 5 seconds long. It was super disappointing. Especially once Jungle Boy's song hit and we all just wanted to sing it so bad, and it was like, oh. And that was it. We were like, oh, hey, keep it going, man. Like, you guys paid a lot of money for that song. You should play it all the time.
So with this being, having some similarities to a Royal Rumble, there were 30 men in the ring, came through the ring at some point, at least, being eliminated in a similar fashion, all that. They did not F around when it came to, hey, somebody's entering the ring every 90 seconds. Like, they just had that clock up there. It counted down to 0 and it flipped right away to 130. Yeah. And it's just, we're going. Nothing is stopping the countdowns. Like, I respected that. I thought that was well done.
Every other Royal Rumble clock has been kayfabe like hella bad. This is totally legit.
Yeah, right? That part was refreshing. And I mean, especially on a night like this, like, the show started pretty late for what I'm used to because it's an East Coast show and I don't attend those. So like the show starting at 8:00, 8:30 seemed incredibly late. By the time this was going on, I think it was like 11, but there was just some huge pops in this match that I loved personally. John Silver coming out as I think the third Dark Order tag team in the match.
Yeah.
Fucking people went nuts for him coming out, and I just love that. That guy has done such a good job of getting over with his personality and his wrestling at the same time. Like I posted a clip a while back that the dude just has a fucking extra gear that most guys don't have, and it's incredible to see him go when they like let him loose and do his little Tasmanian devil thing. It was really cool because he's one of my favorites, and I don't think they ever put him in a position of being popular necessarily based on success. It's just people love him. He's just a lovable guy.
His match with Brian Cage at PWG, where he was like,
yes,
matching muscle, like he was so over there, dude. He was.
Oh my god,
yeah.
I love that match so much. That was when I fell in love with him originally, right? But then again, with wrestling and indie wrestling being the way it was, I don't think I saw him again until AEW television. I think that was the last time I saw him like in person. But yeah, it was really, really crazy. Ray Phoenix and Jungle Boy had an insane spot during that match. I loved everything that we got out of it. I really did. Then we had the AEW Women's Championship match, which I did not watch. So go ahead, guys, take over. I had to use the bathroom, and the line was very long at this point.
You used it actually for a piss break match, legitimately?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
shit.
Well,
that's okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Sometimes a brother gotta pee. I mean,
if it helps, I also missed a good chunk of the beginning of the Miro and Kip Sabian versus Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor.
You got to get the official AEW diaper next time.
Yeah,
right.
They'll hook you up. Actually, the catheter, it's a little bit more expensive, but they put it in for you.
Well, okay, all right, that's good to know.
It's not very comfortable though.
I should not have been two-fisting drinks, so that was probably where my mistake was.
It does have the logo on the bag, though. That's the one cool thing.
It didn't sound like I missed too much, but I was talking to Neo yesterday, and Neo actually said he liked the women's championship match very much.
Yeah, it was definitely one of my favorites. Shida and Ryo Mizunami, they just put out a banger match. It's definitely one, if you have a chance to just rewatch, you should, just because, again, it's just women's Joshi pro wrestling really making its grand stage. Sure, it wasn't the main event, but man, it was just something really to marvel over. It was hard hitting, strong style.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one thing I remember about it was that I could hear the thuds hitting when I was standing in line to use the bathroom, and I remember wincing, going, Jesus, like, oh my god, I can hear those from all the way over here. I haven't exactly been watching the show from different locations, and Daly's place is a small venue, so it's kind of echoey and wasn't too much of a surprise, but it definitely sounded like they were beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, for sure. I see these two actually face off in Sendai Girls in like a multi-women tag match, and yeah, they always beat the crap each other. Joshi is awesome, dude. Like, honestly, it'd be rad if we like reviewed like a Joshi show. I know we cover regular day-to-day wrestling, but it's cool if we maybe review the Joshi show one time on this show, if you guys be up for it.
I'll do it.
Down.
I'll do it.
Okay, cool.
I know Schlag and I, we've done one-off New Japan shows, so I mean,
yeah, we could do one for like maybe a big Joshi show that comes up. But honestly,
because Choco Pro just passed, right?
Honestly, I have been falling off. That's why more the reason I want to do it, because I've fallen off. I used to watch Sendai early in the pandemic all the time. So, but yeah, these ladies are great. It was an awesome match, and Ryo Mizunami is a fucking star, dude. She's dope.
She's like the female. She's like the woman version of Okada sometimes, in my opinion.
But she's also like the over the top, like in The Rock, like smelling the crowd, and like I don't know. She's like an amalgamation of all these awesome personalities, and she's a great wrestler.
Did you get to watch the Japanese women's tournament on YouTube?
I'm so busy. I have fallen off, dude. Now you're.
It's okay.
Yeah. I bet it was great, dude. Because honestly, all the chicks are in it. Aja Kong's great, And when I saw Rio's in it, I was like, holy crap, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That Sendai's or a chick from Sendai, another one's getting a chance there.
Well, and and the fact that you have Excalibur doing commentary, I mean, it's just icing on the cake.
Yeah, I heard he covered. Actually, I heard a lot of great ways.
He
or
did
great
all
things
of it.
about how he covered it.
Yeah.
Getting all the names across, because honestly, anyone who's like uninitiated coming into something like that would be overwhelmed.
Yeah, I mean, it was. You imagine JR trying to pull that job off? Fuck
Impossible. Impossible.
He did that when he was doing Access TV and he was trying to cover NJPW and he got a lot of heat for it.
She's a hell of an athlete, for a woman. I mean, even compared to a man, you'd have to say that always. I hate when he always does it. He always compares, like when he puts over a woman, he's like, even compared to a dude, like he has to make us known. Everyone, it's clear.
By the way,
all athletes.
She's a big girl. She'll fight a man.
She could also possibly beat a lot of men up.
Yeah,
maybe.
Just so you know. And I don't mean anything by that.
Yeah.
All right, sorry. It's always shit
She's
on
mad.
JR randomly.
He deserves it sometimes.
The stuff he's saying about Nyla Rose tonight was just uncomfortable. He's like, she's so strong and thick. It's like just
like a man.
Why always you can't? So yeah, JR is ridiculous, and let's move on.
All right, moving on. So speaking of thick,
I know you didn't hear it because you were there, but the commentary that JR was doing during the pay-per-view was kind of rough. He sounded like he needed like a lozenge, a couple of them, some sort of like cowboy whiskey.
I'll say that that's one thing that really disappoints me with AEW at times is just they're so professionals. They're so overly budgeted. It seems like they have everything, wrapped up as far as their production goes. And then something like that, something like JR kind of ruining commentary at times or whatever. Like, I know what you're talking about with New Japan, where he was openly ignorant about the product. He would say, I've never seen this guy wrestle before, but I like him and stuff like that. And you're just like, well, how have you not? Like, watch some fucking clips, dude. Like, this
or even
guy
if you haven't, just say what you like about him.
Yeah, like
just forget that part.
To say,
what's the rule of pro wrestling? You highlight the good stuff. You try to cover the bad stuff.
Right.
And it's like improv. You got a yes and. You don't just like come out there and say, I am lacking all of this knowledge. Please fill me in while we're talking about the show.
Right.
Yeah, Josh.
Yeah, Josh, fill us in. Shit.
Josh, do we have any emails that's come in during the show?
Yeah.
No, sir, we do not.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about Miro's calves being bigger than yours, Josh? Because holy shit, his legs are like tree trunks.
I want to like have a lineup with like me, Miro, and Bully Ray.
Oh my God! Listen to this arrogance. Listen to this arrogance.
Have you seen my cover photo on Twitter?
Oh,
I don't know.
Shit!
You guys have created this monster.
I know we really have, and I'm fucking ashamed that we did. I am ashamed that we did.
I gotta say, like watching this match, I haven't watched any of the Miro stuff thus far. Not to sound like, hey, I don't know what's going on.
You don't watch the promo.
You just sound like JR over here.
You sound like fucking JR.
But having last seen him as Rusev in WWE, like seeing him now in AEW, the dude is in phenomenal shape for one.
Yes.
He was already in pretty good shape before he left WWE, but he's on like another level now. But like he seems to just have like this new energy, and he's got a new lease on life, and he's loving it, and he's enjoying what he's doing. And that's the main thing I got out of this match was seeing him like just be what he is and really get put over too. Like the announcers, I don't remember who said it, but somebody was like, once Miro decides that he wants to go after that AEW title, like look out. And I'm like, holy shit, like they're really, really talking him up. And the way that he's being presented, like it feels that way too,
This particular match was that
a big
definitely
meaty match between him and just Cage. Like just give me both that. Just That's the equivalent of just big meaty men slapping meat.
Me and my girlfriend, she's like, oh man, Rusev has got in a really good shape. I'm like, I'm not got to worry about Rusev. Shit. But I gotta admit, yeah, he's like, yeah, dude, he's got really lean and he's put on some actual more definition. He's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous looking. I think the one thing I thought during this match was, and Josh kind of just addressed it. I don't hear commentary, so I don't know what they're saying. But I was just sitting there thinking, how crowded is this house right now with all of these really talented guys? And Rusev is here playing essentially a bodyguard heavy role for Kip fucking Sabian, where their gimmick is that they love video games. Like, it's really weird, and it doesn't seem like he's
But he does love video games.
I love video games too. We all love video games.
Well, he has a Twitch channel.
At the end of this most recent,
I have a Twitch channel too. So do you. We all have Twitch channels.
I don't.
But he makes money from his Twitch.
I make money from my Twitch too. So do you. We all make money from our Twitch, Neo. None of
There's
this
money
is
in
new
Twitch?
information.
This is why this pod should be on Twitch.
No, you're right about that. That's definitely Josh. Come on, get fucking step your game up. But I don't know. I
said you didn't hear commentary, but you must have heard the man say that playtime is over.
That's correct. Playtime is over. No more video games.
Cue my music. that was so rad.
I like that they are doing long-term stories with these guys, right? So it feels like he has been facing off with the best friends for, I don't know, his entire time in AEW, which, when I fact check that, is true. He has been feuding with the best friends the entire time.
Take it easy.
I'm just saying.
That's the thing, though. Like, I find this type of storytelling more refreshing because at least it's making sense, because he's going through each of the people in that little best friends faction.
Sure. And I'm not against that. I'm also not against it being a long-term story. Like I said, they have a crowded house. So to get somebody involved in a program that is entertaining and keeps them occupied storyline wise for a while until they're ready to give them some sort of push, like, that's fine. And I'm down with all of that. It seems like a lot of these guys came over to AEW with gripes about their position in WWE. Rusev, based on the story he told with his last booking about Angel Garza, kind of getting over on him in a match where it didn't even make sense that he got over on him on the match. So basically Rusev got pissed and went over and beat the crap out of Angel Garza and tossed him out of the ring and threw his hands up. And there was a rule in WWE about not throwing your hands up after you lost as a babyface. And Rusev did that. And he went backstage, and Vince McMahon met him and was actually happy. He was like, they were going to bury you out there and you didn't let them. And then he told Rusev that he had a bonus for him. And the bonus was that he cut him the next day. And that's how Rusev's time in WWE ended.
Good
right?
joke.
Like,
that sucks.
He was all pissed because he wasn't even feuding with Angel Garza, so he didn't understand why Angel Garza would get the pin over him in the match, and like just a lot of stuff that happened in that particular match, that he didn't like. And he got really pissed when Angel Garza was like hot dogging up on the turnbuckle after the match.
Rusev threw out the storybook.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying, though, is like he seemed more upset about what they were doing with him character wise. And I guess my opinion is I didn't really think they were doing much more with him in AEW than he was doing over there. This match, though, seemed built around making him look amazing.
Now you have Rusev in the same universe as Maki Itoh. So who knows? Like,
that's right.
There's so much that could happen. Right.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the fact that you'll see him against, again, like people like Lance Archer, Brian Cage. I mean, you don't need to blow the load his first year. I mean, give him time. Let him marinate.
You don't?
Yeah, I was the guy who was like, man, we can't saddle this guy with Kip fucking Sabian and Penelope. Like,
yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Penelope.
Yeah. But I guess it has worked out in the long run, because I just thought they should have this guy come in and just murder and wreck house on everybody. But you're right, man. It's a crowded house, a very crowded house.
Yeah. And speaking of crowded house,
that's why they're going to have AEW Dark Revel. What do they call it?
Elevation.
You know, and it's funny you say that because I've noticed even the dark matches have been getting higher profile wrestlers on them, right? Like for a period of time there, the dark matches had a lot of indie talent that weren't even signed to AEW. They were just being asked to come do a match with somebody and essentially kind of like a, I won't say a squash match, but a match that's mostly going to make an AEW talent look good.
But really peeling that back a little bit. I mean, you know, as you know him by TK, he was really like instrumental because he's like, yeah, there's no independent wrestling for the greater part of just that whole South, you know, that Southeast area. Right. And so he was, you know, getting these indie wrestlers booked on Dark, getting them tested for COVID, making sure they're safe, and then giving them a payday. Right. So I think on the other side of that, I think that's the other reason why I really appreciate Dark, because I mean, yeah, TK is probably a lot of bad things, but I like the fact that he's still trying to support independent wrestlers and giving them a shot, you know?
I agree 100%. I agree 100%. And I never thought that was a bad idea. I actually thought it was a really good idea. I thought that the way that they were kind of naturally, you know, giving people a real opportunity to shine. And if they did impress the audience and got people talking about them, kind of like what Will Hobbs did, right? Like Will Hobbs made a big name for himself in the AEW world on Dark, and that's how he became part of Team Taz. Next thing you know, he's beating up Sting in a fucking dirty warehouse. That's how life comes at you fast.
They did a I like that spot that he and Cage did to Darby Allin when they just kind of swung him into that glass and wooden like little wall thing.
It was fucking incredible.
It reminded me of like what we would do to like, you know, my little brother into the pool.
Right.
It fucking came back down on Darby's fucking noggin. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was brutal.
Now they used this match as a way to cover up getting the main event ready, putting all the barbed wire on the ring and everything like that. So it was a real smart move, right? But the other thing I really enjoyed about it was the version we got was without commentary, but had sound from the
that's dope.
movie. And it was so good that way. And then I heard people saying online, like, man, this match was great, but I wish they didn't have the commentary over the top of it. And all I could think was like, no wonder we enjoyed it so much, because it was like watching it was like watching some awesome movie, or I don't fucking know, dude. It just started out of nowhere. It was just on. And then, you know, we didn't know if what we were seeing was an entrance video or what. Like, we didn't know what was going on. And it was the weird Sting kids and Darby fucking wearing the mask and rolling down the street and all the shit. Just the way it was shot, everything they did, like that was a perfect cinematic match.
Yes,
it's my favorite one that any company's done at this point. Like the John Cena and Bray Wyatt one was really cool but super ridiculous, and I think that was probably the best one overall. But this one was just so rad, dude. It's so rad.
They've all had a level of humor to them, in some way, shape, or form. Whether it was, I feel like it was always intentional, right? So you had all of the Hardy stuff always was funny, right? All of the Hardy compound stuff and the broken mat. The Undertaker match just had its campy, funny horror movie moments that you couldn't help but laugh at. Like you said, the John Cena thing. I mean, even the Money in the Bank at the headquarters, at WWE headquarters, was fucking hilarious at times, right? This was just straight up just great badassery. Like, it was just fucking cool. It was just incredible. I couldn't believe that they did such a good job, you know, of making Sting look so cool in that particular match, you know. But it makes sense. It's a controlled environment. They could do a lot of stops and edits and different things, you know. I popped for stupid shit, like when he threw the bat and he actually made it up into like the open like area up on the next level. Like I just fucking couldn't believe that they put together such an amazingly beautiful thing.
Yeah, agreed entirely. Even just the way that the whole thing kicked off with them getting in their vehicles to, you know, go to the venue where they're going to have this throwdown. and I guess that is where, like, I probably, and a lot of people probably started to, like, have that feeling initially of, we probably don't need the commentary, because it felt like, they were kind of almost sort of shitting on it at times. It was almost like Mystery Science Theater 3000 going on. Like they're commenting like, oh, that's Sting's truck and all this. Oh, come on, we don't need that.
Well, and this is kind of why, if I could pick who's doing commentary on this, I'd rather have just Excalibur, Taz, maybe Skivone. That's probably it.
Taz was kind of.
What you're really saying is no,
but because Taz, it acts as another character in the match. Because
I guess that's true.
That's true. He's a color commentator for his group.
True. Yeah, but regardless, the match was so much fun. This was my favorite part of the whole night, and I'm not a Sting fan generally, but yeah, when I heard that Tony Khan wanted to bring him in, and his pitch to Sting was essentially, "Hey, you want to come do some cinematic matches?"
Yeah, we'll pad the shit out of you, bro.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's the perfect scenario. I think that it's very well done, and I look forward to more of these.
Yeah, the biggest thing was was when like Darby did that almost like that 2-story coffin elbow drop thing.
Yes.
That thing looked brutal. It was
literally
definitely
went into the abyss. It was great.
Yeah, it was definitely like on par with Kenny's One-Winged Angel during the Stadium Stampede. It's brutal. I think that's the biggest thing that continues to attract me towards AEW is anytime I've turned on to watch AEW Dark, the wrestling just never disappoints. It just never does.
Yeah. And even in a cinematic match like this, like they captured a brutal moment like that. Like there's no faking what they did or trick camera shots
shaking of the camera. Like
yeah, it was straight up just like, wow, they actually did.
Well, it's like what Beek said though about when they put him through that glass and then the frame like landed on his head. That didn't look like that was even supposed to go down that way, but it just did, and they got the shot, and the shot's like, hey, it sucks, and we can stop and make sure he's okay afterwards and give him some ice or some shit, but like they got the shot, right?
Yeah, thank God we were rolling and got that.
I mean, the difference here is that these guys are both the stuntmen and the actors. So when shit like that happens and they can have it zoomed in on their face when it's happening, then great.
Honestly, that bat passing bit should be like a GIF that's for like friendship. Like somebody throws you something like boom.
You're so right.
Yeah.
But I think the one thing I could say about being there in person was this was, a drive-in movie situation. Not to mention the fact that you had a bunch of people setting up fucking barbed wire and shit in front of us, which is supposed to be, kind of distracting and take away a bit from your ability to watch what they were putting on the screen, because they didn't like dim the lights in the arena or anything like that. Like they had full on green lights, shining everywhere and no like hiding what the ring crew was doing. The crowd was still so into this match that you could just hear the oohs and the ahs and the gasps like traveling throughout the building. And that was awesome. It really got even the live crowd there in person, who was watching it the same way everyone else was, to just be all in on it. It's the one thing I want to watch again. It's the one thing I feel like I didn't get a chance to watch, but I also don't really want to watch it with the commentary. I want to see it the way we saw it there. It was like a badass music video or something. Like I can't describe it other than it did not need any commentary over the top of it.
I want to see the Snyder Cut.
The Snyder Cut. Yes, I want the Snyder Cut.
On HBO Max.
Yeah.
No, I mean
this. Well, yeah, it'll be on HBO Max though, is his point, and you'll have to watch Tom and Jerry in order to see it, but it'll come out early.
Yeah. That was good, you guys.
Yeah, good stuff. So a couple other matches I want to talk about really fast. Adam Page and Matt Hardy wrestled in a match that was kind of fun. I love the Dark Order shit with Adam Page. I think it's tremendous. I just get a big kick out of it.
Well, he bought a sweet lawnmower after all that.
Did he?
Yeah,
nice.
And then the Dark Order got to ride all over it.
That's hilarious. He's come along, man. Like as a babyface, as somebody who I'm legitimately like, yeah, I like when he comes out when he's got matches going on. So that was my big takeaway from that.
Yeah, I'd never liked Adam Page before this. Like AEW has like solidified him as one of the top baby faces in pro wrestling. He's one of the only guys that could pull off a lot of Stone Cold's gimmicks and get away with it without really being, called like a Stone Cold copycat or anything.
He makes them his own. Yeah, it's different.
He really kind of found his own voice toward the end of his run in ROH. Like, he really got good. He really got pretty good on a damn promo. And then when the New Japan, and then this new kind of emo alcoholic version of the cowboy that he does now is really fucking entertaining. I thought it was going to be kind of hokey and sad, but they've really kind of parlayed into a pretty good gimmick.
Yeah.
They could have sold AEW whiskey too, and they never did.
Yeah. Oh, I'd have bought a bottle of it at the merch stand, but it probably would have been sold out.
Oh.
All I've got is MJF gin. Damn it.
Yeah.
Non-fermented prune juice.
So I know
JR's barbecue flavored vodka.
I did eat his meal at his favorite restaurant when in Jacksonville, and it was quite good. So JR has good taste in breakfast. We had Christian Cage was the big secret Hall of Fame signee that Tony Khan grew up wrestling and watching and admiring.
grew up wrestling. I gotta see these matches.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not televised.
And then after tonight, now he's been put into a program with Mr. God of Pro Wrestling, Kenny Omega. So two Canadians now vying for that title, like once again.
Really, he's already in the world championship title picture, huh?
It's kind of assumed because today on Dynamite there was a schmoz because, well, not a schmoz per se. There was a promo between Kenny and Eddie, and Kenny asked Don to 69 him, and then after that, when John came out, when John came out, they started scuffling, and then at the end, Christian Cage came out and got in Kenny's face, picked up the title. So it planted some seeds. So
right. I think this is a major point of criticism for a lot of people have. And it kind of goes back to the AEW Dark thing where we said that we're seeing more credible people put on AEW Dark. But in some cases, those were people that used to be on AEW Dynamite. And now they're kind of getting shifted. It almost is like that situation where you're standing in a long line and instead of moving forward you move backwards because somebody had a baby. That's what AEW is starting to feel like, where there is just so many people coming to AEW.
Styles probably fell back in TNA, dude. Like, it's right there waiting, and all of a sudden some other guy show up, and then another motherfucker shows up, and then another motherfucker. Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of what it feels like. Now, I say that because this promotion wasn't supposed to be WCW, and that's what it's quickly becoming. We have this really talented roster, and it was supposed to be about them and the wrestling, and it still is, right? And I know we're supposed to say wrestlers don't care about titles or any of the other stuff. I know that AEW is taking care of their talent much better than WWE was taking care of their talent. But at the same time, too, it still feels very much so like this situation is kind of getting away from them quickly. They just recently added Big Show and Christian Cage as new talent to their promotion. I know Big Show's not going to be wrestling, but it doesn't mean he's not going to be getting airtime, right?
Yeah, it's hard to be the big alternative when you keep on bringing in guys who were part of what you were an alternative to, But still, these are credible talents that will fill out the roster and make their show a more credible show, like as far as it looks overall, with the two former WWE champions. Oh, wait, Christian wasn't WWE champion, but two former champions from WWE. So yeah, I think it's a good move overall.
Well, and you're right about that. The one thing they bring to a promotion like this with so much young talent is their experience, right? It's kind of like what you would say about a sports team that brings on some veterans, to kind of hopefully bring their experience to the rookies that are talented and young but don't have that experience. Especially when it comes to television, right? There's a lot of things guys like Christian and Big Show could teach these guys a lot of things.
Luchasaurus, because he's a big man coaching from Big Show. Like that would be a great guy for him to talk to.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and I get that. I get that. For the most part, a lot of their talent has been working in limited capacity. So it's been like Jake the Snake being a manager to Lance Archer, or pretty much everybody kind of being a manager or a commentator. This just feels a bit different because it feels like they were bringing him in to wrestle, and that seems to be what they're doing. Same thing with Sting. You know, they're bringing these guys in to wrestle, and it just doesn't feel like, you know, some of the independent talented guys that they were really excited about early on are getting those same opportunities. You know, Joey Janela was putting on these amazing cinematic type things on his own on the indies that were very similar to what we saw with this match between Darby and Sting and Team Taz. And yet, you know, now he's kind of been pulled away from doing all of that. Joey Janela has wrestled in GCW more than he's wrestled in AEW. So it doesn't seem like some of those type of guys at that level are getting the same opportunities that they even got at one point early on when they didn't have as big of a roster.
Yep, Joey Janela's kind of playing the Chris Jericho role in WCW, you know, except for he's not even getting any TV time, really, unfortunately. Because honestly, Janela was one of the hottest properties coming into when AEW started up. Like he was so hot, and yeah, the steam is kind of gone. I wonder if they've soured on him because, or I mean, I can't say any particular reason, but I wonder what the reason is. There must be something.
I will say that there's parts of AEW that make me realize that any televised wrestling company is going to have certain controls over their guys. And so the problem is that WWE gets a lot of flack for the way that they control, you know, their performers, and rightfully so. They are very shitty to their wrestlers. We talked about earlier on all the streaming stuff, just the way that they don't make them actual employees and they're you know, contractors and all of this. There's still going to be a lot of control over of any wrestling show over their talent. You know, like I even saw Tony Khan giving Bryce some shit because he was at Disney World like a few days before this show or the day of the show or something, and he was like, aren't you gonna come eat dinner in the bubble where we're all supposed to be staying? Like he was on social media basically kind of wagging his finger at Bryce a bit for being at Disney World by himself. You know, that's also goes up there with being unnecessary, just like the other attack on the
that's a slide in the DMs right? Thing, right?
Right. I mean, I don't know. I know my friends don't slide in the DMs to shame me, but that's different.
Fair. And I gotta say, real quick, I roll back. I'm speculating maybe they soured on Joey. I can't say for sure. There's no reason to say that. You're probably right. It's probably just an overpacked roster, but they were pushing him strong at first, and all of a sudden they just pulled back real hard, and then they paired him up with Sunny, which actually was a cool tag team, and then they pulled that back entirely as well. So it's unfortunate because I really like Joey. He's right.
They had some really cool vignettes too, with like the whole like driving thing and
at the gas station where they kick the guys. Sonny kicks those guys' ass while Joey's buying chips and shit inside. Like there's some cool shit.
I was really hoping, you know, and I was really hoping that they would open that up and maybe do a little bit more of that on like Dark, right? And then, you know, once they kind of catch a lot of once they get a lot of steam, you know, they can maybe elevate that to somewhere else, because that's the thing. AEW's kind of been this, I don't know, maybe call it the poster boy of inclusion. But right now we're not seeing a lot of inclusion in the main show.
Right.
You know, but again, their spots are still on Dark on the free YouTube show.
I mean, we could sit here and pick apart a lot of the things they're doing wrong on AEW, but really they're still trying to find their way. Right. And so I feel like this entire thing, you know,
it just goes down to personal speculation at that point. Like, it just depends how you personally feel.
It does.
Well, okay, like with Joey, for instance, or just like, I don't know, like this phase, what I'm talking about now is where they've been hiring these, you know, legends. Like it's kind of on par with the big names that they would bring into StarCast as meet and greet opportunities, right? You know, the Stings, I wouldn't be surprised if Goldberg wasn't on a WWE contract. They'd even bring in Goldberg. I think he was speculated at one point,
And I think the main, I guess this is just me personally. I just feel like, hey, there's a pandemic. These guys got to work somewhere. And, you know, if WWE is not giving them a fair shake, it makes sense to me, again, that, hey, if AEW is giving them an opportunity, okay, why not? Let's just see what happens with it.
It
AEW
makes
is
sense
still
for
in
the
their
guys,
infancy.
definitely.
And AEW is still in their infancy where they can make mistakes, learn from mistakes, you know, and really just keep on rocking and rolling. I mean, that's how I've been understanding it. That's why, like, when people say, oh, it's the same thing, it's the same thing, it's the same thing, in the back of my mind, that's kind of been my personal justification. Like, hey, these guys got to do something, you know, and
as long as I'm not pumping the main event picture with a bunch of people, I think we're on the safe side. That's when it gets nasty. That's when it gets dangerous.
Yeah, you're crossing the line there.
Right now, we got a guy who may be in the title picture, an announcer, and then a cinematic guy. So I think while you are right to worry, Derek, I think they're still safe now. And these two guys especially kind of build legitimacy, in my opinion, having Christian and Big Show around. I think so anyway.
And the thing is, like, Christian, I feel like he can still go. We saw him in the Royal Rumble, and he put on a very good show, right? Very sports entertained, you know. So I'm curious to see, like, what can Christian do without the restraints.
On one hand, we've criticized WWE, but understood at times where they needed to bring in, for instance, like I said before, Goldberg, right? Sure. Where we're just like, why are you doing this? Well, why are they doing it? Because mainstream people still know who Goldberg is. So if they hear he's coming back for some reason, that'll pique the interest of people that don't already have a WWE network subscription, that aren't already going to watch the show, regardless of who's booked in the main event. They're trying to bring in that different audience. And I feel like that's what AEW is doing. So I don't give them too much of a hard time. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Definitely. And on that same note, the Sting match that I just watched, I couldn't stop gushing about like 20 minutes ago. So it's not like Sting was brought into that company and not used in a proper way. I think it's been really cool the way they've used them. And I think, honestly, the partnership with Darby has been better than I even expected it to be.
I'm not saying your concerns aren't unwarranted by any means. We're not saying that at all, I don't think.
Right. I just think the thing is that it's kind of like the inclusion that they were talking about, Neo. They talked a lot about it, so then they put themselves in a position to have to back up their own words, right? I feel like they kind of did that when they were talking about what AEW was going to be originally. Josh and I were at their very first press conference in Las Vegas, fucking freezing our asses off poolside. And I remember there was a lot of talk during that show about the type of guys that were going to be in AEW. And they even like made certain like jokes about it not becoming WCW. And it feels awfully lot like that is what it's becoming between the old timers and the WWE guys that are jumping ship and coming over, as well, and those guys are getting ahead of the line of the other guys as well.
Can't deny that either. That's definitely true. Yeah. Filling out their roster with ex-WWE guys is definitely going to give them that castaway or the ship of misfit toys,
right? Right.
But it's not like Impact always had been, where a lot of people could make that argument, whether it was really fair or not, but they'd make the argument that it was like WWE rejects. Like, these are not rejects by any means that are ending up over in AEW. I think that's a key difference.
For sure.
So we had just the Sonic the Hedgehog Invitational left. That was the Face of the Revolution ladder match with Cody Rhodes, Penta, Scorpio Sky, Lance Archer, Max Caster, and the surprise entrant All Ego Ethan Page, which is fucking awesome. Just such a cool surprise. Again, the Christian, I was told by someone who will stay anonymous that we were all going to be extremely disappointed by the mystery, by not the ladder match person. I was told everybody would pop for the ladder match person, but I was told that everybody was going to be disappointed by the by the legend that was signing, and it was Christian. And I don't think that was the case as much, but I get where this person was coming from, because so many people kept jumping the thing to the point where Christian at one point seemed like a far shot, but a lot of thing like what people were hoping for. And then when in a few days it was like everybody had forgotten about Christian and was just talking about where CM Punk was in the world, and if he was at the airport in Florida, or if he was at the airport in Chicago, and if they saw him there, and like those expectations just getting higher and higher to a point where nobody, even if it was CM Punk, could have been like something that would have made you...
CM Punk can't live up to the hype of CM
yeah, even he couldn't live up to that hype.
It's a ridiculous side of fandom, man. Like, people just let their imaginations get carried away, and if the people who are actually putting the thing together don't live up to their wild imaginations, like, then they get disappointed. Like, I don't know. That's why I personally try not to think too hard about that stuff. Because you can disappoint yourself that way. Like, we saw all that stuff going on with WandaVision too, you know? Like,
it's the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. It's the fact that what we had was a mystery, which allowed people to kind of have a fun, like, ooh, what do you think? Like an open discussion. Who do you think it's going to be? What do you think? But then the discussion transcends just kind of being a fun, throwing it around, but let's see who it's going to be. And people start becoming firm in their selections. Like, no, I bet it's going to be this person. Well, I bet it's going to be this person, you know, and like,
or this motherfucker Kurt Angle releasing a video of him like
putting his fuck him.
That was super
trolling
timely.
Every motherfucker. That was so good. I wonder, like, Kurt was sitting home like, hey, you know what? I should troll these motherfuckers.
I know he was. I know he was.
You told him to do it, and it was all his idea.
I think it was all his idea. You know why? Because if you follow Kurt Angle, you will have seen this past Christmas where he had a hilarious video where he was hanging Christmas decorations on his tree in his full gear and trying to have his wife tell him like how sexy he looked. And in the background, she was just like, why are you wearing that? Put that off. God, you look ridiculous. And he's looking at the camera just like, nope, I look good. And it was hilarious. I didn't even know Kurt had that like sense of humor left in him. What we saw of him as the Raw general manager was like a soulless, drained, empty husk of a
He
Kurt
definitely
Angle.
wasn't drained. He
wasn't
drained.
All right, sir.
I'm sorry. He looks
all right. So we had a really good showing from everybody in this match.
What's Neo doing?
One of my favorite things. I don't know what he's doing anymore.
I've been sitting for so fucking long. I get sore.
No, I understand, but all the camera was going all over the place, like the world.
Oh yeah.
I thought Penta looked great in this match. I thought Lance Archer looked great. Everybody except old Cody Rhodes, which I don't really know what was going on with him. I knew it was all kayfabe, but people told me he really dislocated his shoulder, which I think is absolute bullshit. But whatever. I'm guessing that's what they said on commentary.
I don't think they directly said it. They said, I think Cody's really hurt, and but yeah, I hate when especially when someone's like in charge of the company. I need to book a comeback storyline within the match for myself. It really has to happen. Like, God damn it, guy, just wrestle the fucking match.
Or just go away.
He did say
like, just get injured and leave.
He did say previously, like, he's never won a ladder match, so that he had that going for him. And then apparently he's going to be in an angle with Penta now, because today Penta kind of went in on his arm injury and talked about how he's going to break his arm to the point where he can't hold his baby girl.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, shit.
Let's get some Lucha Underground Penta going on.
Well, yeah. I mean, they had a banger match in AAA like a while ago. So it'd be nice to kind of see that kind of, brought to stateside. So give me that. I would definitely not mind watching that again.
He's been awesome as of late, which makes me realize that there's a good chance he was injured for a while there because he just wasn't doing anything. Pentagon wasn't wrestling, but he wasn't.
Yeah, they had a serious injury. No, they did a beatdown angle.
Well, no. I mean, like, I know he's had some good matches and stuff, but I just mean there was a period of time where, again, going back to my whole thing about some of the talent they brought in that they weren't utilizing, that felt like Phoenix and Pentagon weren't being featured. And I think maybe he wasn't at 100%. They didn't really know what to do with Phoenix, so that kind of also put Phoenix on the shelf. But then when when Pac came back, that's when they started having Phoenix team with him more and such. This just, like Josh was saying, this was Lucha Pentagon in this match. The shit he was doing, the moves he was doing, it was fucking violent and reckless, and he was doing shit off the ladders and doing fucking all sorts of things that I feel like I haven't seen him do in entirely too long. That guy is an incredibly talented wrestler, but like, it's his character. It's all about what he is, like just the strutting around, the zero medos shit, like everything about him is entertaining and over the top. I was glad to see him like really fucking getting out there and being violent and fucking evil in this match. It was good.
He may have lost the match, but he won the most braggadocio. He won my heart.
He did.
All the superlatives.
Well, Scorpio Sky won the match, and that seemed to be really cool because Scorpio Sky has been a guy that got over big on Dark, as Neo has talked about in the past. I thought that they have told a great story at times, but again, my concerns are guys like him. They told a good story, they got their shot, and then it seemed like he just kind of faded away once he got his TNT championship opportunity, and then then he didn't win his match.
Yeah, and
I don't want to see that when someone like him had such momentum behind them. He should be like on Dynamite every week in some sort of angle, even if he's not going for that TNT championship when he's that hot.
And that came to further fruition tonight, where he wrestled Darby in a really great match, mind you. And you kind of felt like it was going to go Scorpio's way, but in the end, Scorpio didn't win it. However, even though he lost the match, he kind of became a new version of Scorpio in the sense where he just went full heel on the motherfucker and almost broke his ankle. And he looked like he kind of liked it. He kind of liked it. He was looking at his hands. He put him in like a heel in like a leg lock. And then after he let him go, he was like, yeah,
Look what my hands can do.
Look what my hands can do. I'm going to beat the shit out of this little guy.
They even put over him
week.
going out into the locker room that the heels came out of.
Yeah, the left side
segment. He's like, it's interesting. He went out the other side of the arena, like into the heel locker room.
That's the heel locker room.
I like little stuff like that though.
I know, it's just hilarious.
I like that when like Sammy did it. Like when Sammy left the inner circle, he went to like the face side. I like little things like that. It's cool.
Well, and they have the crowd set up that way too. So there were some wonderful chants super going back tongue in cheek. Forth.
It's like,
yeah. Speaking of Chunk, Chubbs, aka Stingray from Cobra Kai, was in attendance, and he was there with what looked like his new mentor, DDP. So I'm excited for season 4 of Cobra Kai because I don't know how things are going to go, but I can't wait to find out.
It's going to be the Stingray saga where he just beats the shit out of high schoolers.
Yes. Now, what you are saying is 100% correct, because I think that, I didn't see all of AEW tonight, but as long as they have something like that happen to someone like Scorpio Sky and have it evolve into something, then I'm all for it. Like, the one thing about professional wrestling that I constantly remind myself as a fan is that the story is not done. It's not over. We're just like we were saying on our WandaVision podcast about the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe and how open it is and how many more stories there are to be told. Pro wrestling is that same way. Sometimes you just have to be patient when the story isn't done being told yet and see where it goes. This whole thing with Scorpio Sky sounds awesome. Sounds a lot like what NXT did with Swerve. We had a chance actually to hang out with Swerve a little bit on Saturday night when we were in Jacksonville. He stopped by the tattoo shop and hung out with us. And the first thing we asked him was, why did you do that to Leon Ruff? And Swerve just got this evil smile on his face, was like, I'd fucking do it again, is what he said. He was like, he deserved it. I saw the evil in his eyes. And then 2 seconds later, he's showing me pictures of his potbelly pig and being all cute again. But when you brought up Leon Ruff, he was angry. And so it's a different side of him. And I love to see that. I love to see, guys try something new. And I think that that's probably a really good move for Scorpio Sky, if not all of SCU. I've never really liked SCU as faces.
Yeah, SCU is
particularly?
looking a little like they were in the crowd tonight watching.
Which side were they on? Left side, right side?
No, they were just in the crowd.
I know, left crowd or right crowd. Which crowd? There's a heel crowd and a face crowd. Was he standing next to Jade Cargill?
No, they were sitting in the stands.
Oh, in the stands. Got
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And they've got an angle going on right now that if they lose a match, they're done. So I guess they have to say, nah, we were just fucking around. We're bad guys now.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's how you
Which-
heal it up. You don't honor your word.
Well, in which if you get a chance to watch that match, dude, Matt Jackson and again Ray Phoenix tonight, it was another banger, dude. Just another banger, and that's why I like where the story is going. Where you have, Triángulo de la Muerte going up against the Young Bucks right now, and just like the fact I want to see Pac versus Nick next, and then after that, let's get the actual tag team match going.
Yep.
Why not? Like
Yeah.
stretch this out. Like keep me titillated.
Oh.
Whoa.
Coming in hot.
ASMR podcast.
Nice.
This is why you should get a cool mic so you can say things like
shakaroni. Moist. Shakaroni.
Did you say moist?
Moist.
Gross. All right. Well, he brought up Shaq. So do we want to talk about Shaq being the greatest wrestler in AEW, or
Was
should
it
we just
good?
leave
Was it
there?
good?
Oh, Shaq was great.
I missed
Shaq
it.
was phenomenal.
Shakaroni. Flipperoni.
I could not believe how good Shaq was.
Dude,
I really couldn't.
you should. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, as somebody who grew up watching like bullshit pro sports athletes
Yes.
do cameo appearances in WCW,
Karl Malone,
like even like guys from teams like I
Mailman.
like seeing Reggie
Carl
White
Weathers.
and like
Dennis
just
Rodman.
all that. It was always bad. Like 95% of the time, it was bad. They nailed it. Like this was exactly how to utilize somebody the size and athleticism of Shaq. Like
Shakaroni.
focus on all of his strengths. Don't overdo it. It was perfect. I thought it was great.
he was fucking great. Like he did such a fucking amazing job at being a wrestler. It was
That was
like you said,
spectacular.
it's easy to
Oh,
be
Shaq toxic.
it's easy to be like lanky and kind of weird. We saw Snoop attempt splash, and it was one of the most ridiculous looking things ever.
It's shameful.
Well, they were trying to put the guy far enough away, and Snoop waved him in. Like, why are you listening to Snoop? Snoop should be listening to you guys. You're the professionals. Jesus.
Well, Snoop's like
Shaq
the
was
least
just
athletic man around. Like
right.
And Karl
couldn't
Malone
even
wasn't all
story,
that
too.
bad.
Couldn't
Karl
even
Malone
fall.
kicked ass.
Well, you had LT versus Bam Bam Bigelow.
that
in
was
the
rad.
main event
That was
of
rad.
one of the
That was a
WrestleManias,
great match.
right?
That
I'm
was
not saying
arguably
it
done
wasn't.
well.
Yeah, but
Yeah, Bad Bunny's like probably out wrestle Snoop Dogg.
Oh, for
that's
sure.
very true. That's the 24/7 champion. Put some respect on his name. By the way, what a diabolical genius they are for putting that belt on that guy, because he went and performs on Saturday Night Live while holding the belt. And guess what he's going to do this weekend? He's going to perform at the fucking Grammys while wearing the 24/7 belt. So
I feel
who's
bad.
laughing now?
I feel bad for him though, because he's got to lug that thing around in his
Yes.
carry on.
It's
and
carried
look over
on.
his shoulder all the time, you know.
Yeah, man. 24/7 that's 24/7, you guys.
It's
ridiculous.
24/7
He's solid.
airport.
I remember when John Silver lost the BTE title to Sammy Guevara on BTE. He's like, I'm fucking glad I won. I'm getting tired of carrying that thing because it's so big and bulky.
Oh man, it's good shit. But Shaq was amazing, and I give him a lot of credit.
Shaq is amazing.
Not only for being able to do basic ass moves really well that any wrestler can do, but it looks really good when a celebrity or somebody that can't wrestle. But yeah, you're right. He did the Brody tribute, which Cody was like, yeah, if you do this, they can't shit on you at all. But he did an awesome power bomb, took a great bump into a fucking table.
It was a Shaka bomb.
It was amazing. Everything about it was so good. So
Hey,
I
why
give
steal
him
my
so
gimmick?
much credit. Yeah, we got to have a Shaq off.
No.
A Shaka wood.
Oh, what?
Shack it off.
I'm
Shack it
shacking
off.
off. I'm
We
shacking
gotta
off
shack
over
it
here.
off. Shack each other off. Go.
I'm in my shack.
There we go.
I'm in my shack.
She shed.
Shaq drank Shake Shack by the
She
seashed.
should.
Let's fucking wrap this podcast up. I've had enough of all of you. Let's do winners of the week. Shall we? Josh, you can go first.
I was afraid we weren't going to talk about Shaq. He's my winner of the week, man. Like,
yeah, wait. Let's talk about the tweet that exists out there where Shaq just says, "Hey, I'm hanging out with Schlag at Jack in the Box. He's a cool dude." That tweet exists.
That
from
tweet
Shaq's
exists.
account.
Shaq follows like less than 700 people. I am one of them.
Oh,
Yeah, I met him in the early days of Twitter. Like I had a late lunch. I was working as a consultant. I walked across the street to Jack in the Box at like 2:30 in the
Hey
afternoon
man,
for
you
lunch.
want to get a Shackaburger?
Shaq's in there. He's playing for the Phoenix Suns at the time. Yeah,
You were at
Derek's
Shaq
got
in the
it.
Box. We had
Um,
Shaq in the Box.
I'm
Yeah.
at Shack in the Box with a man
Shaq in the Box.
Schlag. He's
Yeah.
the bomb.
Wow.
That's the tweet.
2009.
That's the tweet. Twitter in 2009, man. It was a different world.
You should
Yeah,
actually
it was.
You should reply to that soon and say, "Hey Shaq, it's been a minute. What up, dude?"
Just
You
for-
should kick it.
he
you want to meet us
follows
to
me.
send Jack in the Box?
I could slide into his DMs, you guys.
Oh
No,
my
but
god!
But it'd be hilarious, just like because people would see how long ago that tweet was.
like you
What
ghosted
up,
Shaq
dude?
till 09, and then you finally reply.
Will you
Oh,
please send him a DM and tell him what a great wrestler he is? Because I think that needs to happen.
Dude, for sure. And honestly, too, like I've met a lot of wrestlers in the last decade, and I've spent time around a lot of
Me too,
big ass
big time.
dudes. And like Shaquille O'Neal, like size wise and just like being impressive, like just does not compare to like any of these wrestlers don't compare. Like I'm sure Big Show would be up there, but I've never met Big Show. Shaquille O'Neal is just he's on another level. I'm glad that he finally got to do this because he's kind of like flirted with doing something pro wrestling with WWE. Like he's shown up a couple times, like hit a chair behind his back, like all that shit. But like this was all like they went all in with Shaq and it worked. It was cool.
Well, and,
So,
and now that he's on
winner
the
of the week.
AEW brand, we can now get the match with he and Big Show, right? That never happened.
Maybe who knows?
So
Who
it's
knows?
there. Like again, there's lots of wrestling to go around. And yeah, you can kind of like hate a lot of it, but I'm at the point where I'm just choosing to like what I want to watch and choosing, what I want to like. Cause man, wrestling Twitter really just burns you out after a while.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it seems to be the same thing, unfortunately, with a lot of fandoms. It's not just wrestling, but it does. It gets to you after a while. It's like Twitter, especially, is it's here for the jokes, right? That's what we're doing on Twitter. I think that people take pro wrestling as a whole too seriously, and it was a lot of fun to see this show in person. This was the first pro wrestling show I've seen in a year, besides that GCW Slab City debacle that I went to out in a state park that didn't even feel like I was really watching pro wrestling. But this was a lot of fun, and I will give them credit because this show was a blast from beginning to end. No pun intended about the end not actually being a blast. So let's do winners of the week, and I already introduced it.
We already
So
said Shaq.
Josh, you said Shaq.
Yep.
Neo, go next.
Ray Phoenix, he's the winner of the year. He's the winner of my heart all day, every day. Ray Phoenix for the win.
All right. Beek.
Tweet. What we were saying about hating or loving. Maybe I love wrestling unapologetically, even if it's terrible. I love it. I find an excuse to love everything about it. But my winner of the week is someone who everyone seems to be loving, and that's the almighty Bobby Lashley.
Hey-o.
Monday Night Lashley.
He
And
deserves it.
I honestly, the guy's been with the company so long, it's insane to me that they finally figured out how to present him. And it's great. It's awesome that the key really was kicking it with MVP. So it's dope. It's really, I love everything about it. And yeah, I just look forward to some good matches. Hopefully they pair him with somebody awesome.
God
You know,
bless
it
you,
was great
MVP.
What was great to me was the last time a black champion was crowned in WWE, MVP was in the same bar as I believe Megaran and NeoEcks. Were you there for that?
Shad was also there too. Yeah.
Yeah, Shad was also there, and so it was pretty incredible that he got to be, from that point to being with the company and being at ringside when Bobby Lashley was crowned champion. It's a very cool moment.
Yep.
I'm going to give my winner of the week to Jon Moxley. I thought that he put on a hell of a match. He gave a hell of a speech afterwards to try to save, a really unfortunate situation. Let's be honest. I think that what happened sucks. It sucks that AEW's taken so much, kind of criticism for it, but it's also understandable. It was, a big fuck up, really, when it comes down to it. It was most likely a fuck up due to safety reasons, though. So let's keep that in mind that, they didn't proceed because wanted to make sure that someone didn't get hurt, which might have happened had they, left that explosives line up the way they did.
Yep.
But Jon Moxley did everything he could to not only cover for it, but to send us home at the end of the night happy. It was also really funny to me to see him, instead of leaving through the babyface entrance or the heel entrance, he just walked back up, the crowd and went into that little room that he comes out of, which I guess he lives at Daly's place. So that's kind of fun to know.
He's the janitor.
I didn't know he lived there. And I really love the guy. This entire angle was done to write him off TV so that he could go be a dad for a little bit with Renee when they had their kid.
But
I don't know if what's that?
He came on the show tonight, though.
Right. So it really felt like that was their intention. And now they're going to have to figure out another way to write him off.
They're playing damage control.
Well, you can't have Jon Moxley just get beat up and go off TV because we just know he's too much of a badass for that, right? So they literally tried to blow the motherfucker up. That's what they tried to do, just to make it believable that Jon Moxley wouldn't come back the next day to kick someone's ass. I love him as a character for that.
And that's why today's episode was nice, because Don Callis, he actually did a pretty convincing job to kind of really spin this entire tale. The invisible hand is really pulling the threads, and that's where 69 me Don came into play. So you got to watch that segment.
Well, they definitely, I saw him laughing at Moxley and telling him what a fool they made him look like. So I felt just that little bit that I saw was a pretty good explanation. They kicked his ass and then made him and his, best friend from childhood dry hump each other. So it was definitely.
Hey, when that happens.
Yeah. They get me with that every other weekend. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to, what is this, episode 436 of the Steel Cage? I don't remember. We've been doing this episode for way too long already. You can get us all on Twitter. I am at cap_caveman with a K. Neo is at the NeoEcks with an ECKS at the end. Beek is at James Vanderbeek, and that's a JAIMS. And Josh is at Schlag. Go there. You can look up his tweets with Shaq. He's best friends. They follow each other. But remember, the most important thing is all roads lead to at the Steel Cage. Send us an email so we can pester Josh to read them. Those go to podcast@thesteelcage.com, and check out one of our very wonderful stores at thesteelcageshop.com, as well as Jeremy's store at pentagonzo.com.
Yay!
At Aquatees.
Aquateens.org. He always has some wonderful shirts, and you know what? I get to see him before you guys do. So, haha.
Dude, I had a rad idea. I'll share it here. I'm gonna do a boogeyman shirt, but it's gonna be a boogeyman shirt in a style of Beetlejuice. So it's gonna be green and white and purple.
Make it glow in the dark.
I can't do that, but I'm sure it's gonna be pretty bitchin'. If I forget, remind me.
All right. We will be sure to do that. I think that's it. Did I have any plugs? Oh yeah, there's other shows I forgot. The Snack Podcast. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but We did eat grits and fucking M&Ms, so there's a podcast about that.
But it's Ritz
Spoiler
and
alert.
M&Ms. You guys screwed up.
No,
It's supposed to
it
be
wasn't Ritz
Ritz.
and M&M. It's grits and M&Ms.
Oh.
Remember we talked about that. You can't balance the little M&Ms on the on the Ritz cracker.
That podcast episode is a wild ride. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
it's emotional. Yeah, it's emotional. Definitely not the outcome I was expecting. So buckle in for that one. And the most ambitious podcasting crossover that's ever occurred on this network occurred on Unfunny Nerd Tangent, linking together Unt and ATC3 and Dates and Matt Mania. And I don't know, all sorts of podcasts, but we were all on there having a good time talking about WandaVision. It was, another home run from Disney Plus and an absolute joy to talk about, but to not speculate about too much, to not get caught up in our own heads and head ass it, just like people do with pro wrestling and everything else. So just enjoy the things you like, have some chats with your friends, but you know what? Don't take it too seriously. It's all just for entertainment. So that's where I'll leave it. And I thank you guys again for listening to this episode. But remember, kids, Kenny Omega can't build a exploding ring worth of shit.
Damn right.